You know what, folks? This is what happens when you take up a challenge by a sim guru. You find out that they are being very specific with the amount of tiles you need to use, and eventually you have to bulldoze the teeny tiny house that you put together. Well, not so teeny. I mean, it was 2 floors, but I thought I was being clever putting in a staircase, but no. Welcome to Teeny Tiny House Take 2 Electric Boogaloo. The rules of this game have not changed. We are working with 32 tiles maximum, 2 parents, 1 child, no move objects, no debug objects, and $12,000 maximum budget. I'm a relatively new channel, so I am not on the EA Game Changers ticket, so I don't happen to have tiny living yet. That'll change by the time this video goes up, so next build we'll probably have all of the bells and whistles that the current sim YouTubers are all championing. I guess that's one way to put it. Anyhow, what you're seeing here is me counting tiles and putting tiles in and removing tiles and then moving things around because I wanted to have a little bit more than just a box. I think I mentioned last time that tiny homes are a great way to think outside the box, even though what you're doing is building a box. Well, I wanted this box to look a little less boxy and a little bit grander, taking advantage of the look of something on a grander scale, but in miniature. I don't know if I succeeded, but at least we've got a bathroom with a sink in it, and that's kind of what matters to me at this point. We've also got a separate room for the child, so there is a little bit of privacy for both parents and kid. Technically, once we're able to put in a Murphy bed, that would free up a whole lot of space. You could probably even put in a bassinet or a crib for a youngster and have this be a 4-person home, at least temporarily, until they're able to afford any kind of upgrades that would include putting on, say, an addition or making the kids' room a little bit better or giving mom and dad their own room. It's a starting place. Now, you'll notice that I've got a fridge with a microwave standing on top of it, and that is something that I think I saw somebody doing on Reddit on a build that they uploaded there, and I thought, oh, hey, that's a good idea. You can have smaller meals, nothing so elaborate that you need to actually get out the cutting board and the knives and get to town with chopping things up. You can just nuke a couple of things and you should be fine. That's all good. Definitely not a bad place for a single person or for a young couple just getting started. They could use that other little tiny room as a small, office. Let's say they have a home business doing writing. It's a possibility. Taking a look at all of the different windows available to me, I didn't particularly want anything too big for the wall space. So in the front of the house, instead of having regular paned large windows, we've got smaller windows to let a little light into the bathroom, let a little light into the kids' room, or, as I said, study. And then in the back, even though I didn't wind up putting any kind of curtains on it, we do have a rather large picture window to try and bring the outdoors in a little bit. Same thing with the door, it's a glass door at the back, trying to give it a little bit more space. I apologize in advance to any Sims whose modesties are offended by the open air view. And what a view it is of the next door neighbor's fire pit, which I was almost tempted to give a fire pit to our little family here, but then I realized that all they really needed to do was get invited next door, or, maybe just walk across the yard and take shameful advantage of all of the outdoor amenities. It could happen. You'll notice that Mr. Peter Marsh is still hanging out in the front yard. He's been my, I wouldn't say unwilling or unwitting. I think it's just a matter that he had no choice in being my guinea pig. throughout this entire experience, and maybe we'll see what else we can do to make him uncomfortable, but he seems perfectly happy. I had him trying the place out after I finished building, and he didn't seem to be having any kind of problems. In fact, he smiled quite a bit, which I wasn't expecting. So there's that, I guess. I do kind of feel bad for demolishing the teeny house and, well, not so tiny house, and leaving the more luxurious 3-floor extravaganza next door standing. But I suspect that will probably be fallen down like a ton of bricks sooner or later, and we'll just build our own little tiny home community on this small remote stretch of Newcrest. Speaking of tiny house communities, my current home, Calgary, Alberta, well, it's been my home for about 20 years, but I grew up all over Canada, so I have a tendency to think of it as my current home, because goodness only knows where we'll decide to go next. We have gotten our first, I think, tiny house community, at least the first official one. It was built by one of the energy companies, ATCO. I know that there was a fellow who had been lobbying for it for a while, and I have no idea whether or not it ever went anywhere, but definitely ATCO's has gone places. And it's a tiny house community for returning veterans who are homeless. The houses are somewhere around 275 square feet, which is pretty darn tiny, and they have to pay a rent of about $600 a month. Now, that is pretty good because it covers the home expenses like heat, water, phone, internet, all that stuff. But it also covers education, employment services, medical expenses, PTSD counseling. So $600 is pretty all-inclusive, and I hope that's a pretty good deal for the fellas coming back. I also took a look at some of the city bylaws, which last I had heard, tiny houses were treated somewhat like rental suites. So if you had, for instance, a guest house on your property, it would be treated in that respect. Now they have all kinds of different little bylaws for if it's a permanent tiny house, if it's a tiny house on wheels, if it's to be used as a rental or mother-in-law suite. So that's pretty cool. You'll notice I've got a good little living room going there. We have a sofa, which, as I think I mentioned earlier, we'd be getting rid of that if we had a Murphy bed, and so that would free up a little bit more room. Tiling out the bathroom. This time we have enough wherewithal for a grill for whoever is going to be doing the cooking to go along with that picnic bench. There's no need for the family to miss out on larger family dinners in lieu of microwave food. They can have their grilled pineapple and eat it too. Getting a little decoration in the house, you'll notice that a moment ago we put in some tile in the bathroom and got a poster up on the wall in the main room. Here we're just getting some kids stuff on the walls in the kids' room because why not? Allow them to be young as long as they can. And now I believe we are going to kit out the yard with a few green things, or at least as green as they get in spring, because this time I remembered. I found that the little benches and carts were pretty well up my alley on this one. A few little pots. I scaled up a small group of succulents at one point. Technically, that is still within the rules because scaling up does not qualify as move objects or debug cheats. There we go, right there. And tried to cluster them as close as I could without having to have cheats, and got a hanging basket in there for a little extra oomph. Couldn't have a window on that wall because of the television set, so there you go. Tried to put in some more stuff in the backyard. Of course, need to be active, so we've got a little meditation area for Pete here as long as he's going to be resident. And time to get some bushes going. Now, at one point I thought, oh, maybe I should redo a few things, and I started deleting them and wound up going, no, I kind of like what I had before. I think it was around here that I realized, oh, I have very few funds and it's not letting me add in more stuff. And of course, because it's spring, everything looks so sparse that I was trying to figure out where exactly I wanted to place everything. So you see me moving stuff around and going, no, not over there. Let's put it over here. Kind of like the stereotypical woman trying to get her husband to move a couch or a piano. In this case, it's just me, myself, and I hemming and hawing over where we're going to put the shrubbery. Who knew? But hey, we've got shrubs. We've got a place that we can sit and we can watch the world go by. We've got the ability to do yoga in our front yard. And we've got all the flowers in the world to make the bees happy. So we can just sit on that meditation bench and listen to them buzz. See, here we go. I am deleting everything and trying to figure out where I want to put those planters. And then in another moment, I'm just going to say, oh, nuts. Because there we go. I was looking for the bonfire and then I realized there's one right next to me at the neighbor's house. Let's just make friends with the neighbors. Of course, if we turn this into a tiny home community, we'll have to remember to add in that bonfire again later. We've come to the end of our line with all of the pictures, and Pete actually looks kind of happy in this environment, so maybe we'll keep him there for a while. As always, thank you so much for watching. It's so nice to see people taking a look at the videos I'm making. And if you liked what you saw, please hit the subscribe button and stick around, and we will talk to you later.